What is going on, everyone? I'm Jay Bryan,
I'm Jared Washington.
and we want to welcome you back to the Attention Span Podcast. This week we have a really cool episode coming in hot. My brother, he said he just saw the topic, so it'll be good. It'll be more off the cuff. I always think those are the best conversations. Um,
Hey, Justin.
yeah.
Hold on 1 second.
All right. My name is Jay, not just. I'm just playing.
All right. Sorry about that, guys. Sorry about that,
No, you're
Justin.
good. You're good. All right. You ready?
I'm ready.
Let's get it. All right. So, you all, first and foremost, Jared, how's your week been?
It's been good. I'm on vacation this week from work, so I just been chilling, relaxing, enjoying my time off, and just really getting some rest, catching up on some sleep this week. Because I've been working so much. But besides that, nothing eventful. I haven't went with really.
So, man, we've been busy. On my end, we're preparing to sell our house, which you already know. Um, you've been a big help in that, and of course, I'm not going to tell the audience, but you've been a big help, and we're going to be selling our house. We're going to list it for sale. If anyone's looking for a house in Harrison, Tennessee, it's going on the market June 30th. So hopefully it'll be sold within that following week. So it's been busy, just getting stuff ready, getting stuff prepared for just cleaned up, getting some work done around the house just to fix up some stuff or updates that our realtors recommending. So we're getting those done, and we will be moving. So selling the house, moving, that's been
Where
like the main focus.
where y'all moving to?
We're moving to somewhere near here. Just we're going to be renting for a year, and while we're renting, the plan is to have a home built in close to Memphis. So it's gonna be a process. I always dreamed of having a home built. Never knew it would be this soon. I thought it was gonna be when I was like, in my 40s or something. I'm 33. Found out it's happening about like 30. I'll be 34 this year.
Congratulations, man, for real.
Yeah, it's actually feasible. So yeah, man, that's what's been going on with me. Pretty good week. Had work. Uh, Working on some employment opportunities. Really trying to focus in on getting a. As you all know, I'm an employeepreneur. That's what they call it. You know, I have the side hustle. Um, so really working on getting a promotion right now. Not a promotion, but a new opportunity. I love what I do now. I'm looking to do a similar thing, just at somewhere else. But I do enjoy, in general, the industry that I'm in, as far as corporate America. So it's good, man. It's good. So, man, what has my attention this week? Well, the main thing that has my attention this week, you all, is kind of what I teach people. What makes people want to learn? Like what makes people care about learning? Let me tell you what sparked this thought right here. I had a class just this last week. There were three people in there, and when I'm teaching classes that have like one, two, three people in there, I still I still teach as if it's 1,000 people in there. So our contractor who's doing work on our house, he was like, he came by and he saw on my screen that there were three people in my class. He couldn't see who they were because their cameras were off. But he saw he was, oh, you only got three people. I thought you were talking to 1,000 people, things like that. And I was like, well, I want all learners to get the same experience. no matter how many people in the class, they're still gonna get 100%,
That's
whatever.
dope.
And he was like, "Don't be bored in there." And I was like, "Well, I kind of make it more of a workshop format instead of a presentation format when if it's a bigger class." And that got me
Yeah.
thinking, you all. I make it a workshop format where it's much more interactive. There's much more time for breaks, much more time for questions, much more time to do the activities, the back and forth. Because when there's a bigger class, oftentimes we might have to cut out certain things because there's so many people. We don't have time to go through, pause for a second, do this. If 10 people have questions, that's like maybe 20 minutes of class time you can't get back. So I say all that to say, what makes what makes the learning experience fun for people? That's been my question on my mind. So, Jared, what makes you want to learn stuff? What like keeps you engaged with learning? For me, I think it's pure curiosity. I've always been like if I see this pen and I wonder, like, oh man, where they make this? This is nice. I will research where they made the pen. Like I go on Google, I found out, oh, there's pen unions, and only certain people are allowed to get a license to make a G2 pilot pen, stuff like that. I'm curious like that, and that is engaging to me. That's fun. That makes an experience fun when it's something that I'm really curious about. It makes me want to learn. I can't recall me being bored too much learning, like in school or anything. Like it wasn't like, oh man, this is boring. I have had that experience, but I was interested. I was so curious about stuff, and I still am. That economics wasn't my favorite subject in school, but it was interesting to learn it. Geography wasn't my favorite subject in school, but it's still interesting to learn it. I was curious, so it helped me a lot. What about you, man?
Yeah, for me, man, I feel like learning is one of those things that learning is you have to have a thirst for knowledge, and I think there's an inherent natural feeling that comes with you know making learning fun because you really want to learn. You actually have a thirst for it. Now, as far as on the outside, like outside forces that make learning fun, I would say it's more of a just being able to enjoy it and really like dive into it face first, closing off all distractions, being able to immerse myself and understanding that hey, this is a means to an end. So I guess what I'm saying is even if it's something that I necessarily don't have any curiosity about, I I I really want to learn it just to be able to disseminate that information to other people. If not for myself, for my kids, for my brother, for my mom. I just want to. I have a thirst to be better mentally, and I think that learning is one of those things that, like you said earlier about interaction. I think it has to be interactive. I think you have to get up into it. There's something called syncope. It's called Syncopy. Syncope. And what syncope is basically the study of all your senses being engaged while you learn because that makes you remember stuff better. And I think that when you talk about syncope, you really engaging with the subject that you're trying to learn. And when I say senses, I mean like you want to hear it, so you're gonna verbalize it. If you could touch something associated with it, you touch it. When you teach it, you're learning because you're putting it back in your own ears, auditory. So it all ties in. And I think that when it comes to learning, it's very important that you just enjoy it. You kind of sit back, kind of disengage, and really engage, like relax and engage in it. And that's where I think that a lot of fun and learning comes from. And that's my take on it.
That's awesome. That's a very good take. I'm actually looking right now. Something you made me think of when you were talking. You said you
Mhm.
get the information to pass it along to others. I get it more so for curiosity. Um, You also mentioned syncope, which is made me think multiple intelligences. There was a guy named Howard Gardner, and he had the theory of he coined the theory of multiple intelligences, that different people are smart, quote unquote, in different ways, right? So let me share my screen. So some people have musical intelligence. So they're what's called music smart. That means you can teach. First of all, they get music easily. It just they understand it a lot easier than others. You can also teach these people with this type of intelligence with songs. I believe that I took a multiple intelligences quiz. They're all over the internet. You can take them. See, I believe that I am music smart. That's one of my higher forms of intelligence. Um, I mean, several reasons. I'm not going to get into those right now, but I think that's one of them. Yeah, bodily kinesthetic. This is body smart. These are people, these like athletes and things like that who seem to be naturally good at things. You show them a move and they can just, do it or pick it up easily. It might be body smart. These people, you have to engage their body. So when they sit down to take a test, if somebody's bodily kinesthetic smart, they sit down and take a test, right? They might not do good on that test. But if you try to teach them a move based off that test, if you tell them, okay, well, doing a spin move forms a circle, and they have to write that on paper, they may not know, oh, and I'm simplifying, obviously. It does a circle. I don't know the shape that it forms. But if you show them the spin move, they're like, oh, okay, I can do that. And then you tell them, oh, when you're doing a spin move, you're doing what's called a circle. You make a circle to do the spin move. They're like, oh, okay, I get it now. Body smart. Then you have people smart, which is interpersonal. You have word smart, which are verbal, linguistic. Think of people who, polymaths and people who can pick up other languages easily. You have logical, mathematical. I believe my wife has very high logical / mathematical intelligence, because she's like I went to school with a kid. His name was Brian, and I'll never forget, man. Brian used to be able to, and I think he was on the spectrum, mind you. So I believe that he was
Autism spectrum, for
huh
clarification for the audience. He's talking about the autism spectrum.
the autism spectrum, correct? And I believe he was a savant, which means like he had a skill that was above and beyond, most people in the world. And there are some people that are on the spectrum that are savants, like Owl City and stuff like that. That you know who Owl City is? It's like an artist, a multi-instrumental artist.
I have
Who,
heard of
what?
Al City.
Yeah, he has Asperger's. So
Wow,
I
I didn't
once
know
knew
that.
a kid, and this is a side note. We'll get back to it. Back to Brian. I worked with a kid. He had Asperger's. He was a savant at fixing vacuum cleaners. So he could build them from the ground up, literally. He could build them from the ground up. He knew the type, he knew what they needed, he knew their parts. Our vacuum cleaner, my supervisor bought him a broken down vacuum cleaner from a junkyard. It was broken down, and he bought him like a couple more pieces. The kid built one from the ground up and was testing it. It was crazy. It worked so good, y'all. It pulled itself on the carpet. That's how strong it was pulling. But that was his thing. And so this guy Brian, we would ask him any mathematical question, and he could answer it without a calculator. If he knew how to do, the only thing he needed to know, it was how to calculate it, like what formula to use, stuff like that. If he knew the formula, he could do it in his head. We were asking him we could ask him what's the square root of 3,629. He'd be like, oh, it's he say it's 7.694, whatever. Like seriously, to like the 10th digit. I'm like, this is amazing. So I believe that him, like my wife, people like that, they're really logical, mathematical, smart. Then you have nature smart. I have what's called a work mom that has naturalistic intelligence. Very good with plants. Thinking of people with green thumbs, they naturally get plants. They just kind of understand them. That's because they're nature smart. And if you can relate stuff to them in a way that's relative to nature, they'll get it easier. You have self smart. These are intrapersonal intelligence, intrapersonal intelligence. This is my highest intelligence right here. I always have this my highest intelligence. That's self smart. It's like understanding yourself, having a knack for knowing, what's going on inside, um, what you're thinking, why you're thinking something, stuff like that. It's all about yourself, what you know and what you truly feel, and all that. You have picture smart, which is visual, spatial, and then of course back to musical. So those are multiple intelligence. So Jared, what are some of these that you're smart in?
I would say music smart. I would say just looking at it, word smart, and picture smart,
Nice.
body smart. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's good to engage all of the intelligences if possible, because that makes learning fun. Because you're going to have different people with, I mean, people always say, oh, people learn differently, but literally people learn very differently, you know? And then people have multiple, again, it's multiple intelligences. So you can be smart in different ways too, in like 4 or 5 ways. So it's pretty cool. But yeah, man, great discussion. So that's not even the main topic of what I wanted to get into today. That just was prompted. Great discussion. That was prompted by something my contractor said to me. He was like, man, how you keep that interesting? I was like, just make it happen, make it interactive, go for some back and forth, talk, have conversations, not related to class, connect, and it makes the experience more fun for everyone involved. Um, but the main thing I want to talk about, man, and Jared, you tell me, is I want to talk about purpose. Purpose. So this is a journal, you all, for our listeners. This is a journal. Something stuck on the back. This is a journal. This is my journal that I use, my like recovery journal that I use to do my recovery activities. I work with my accountability partners, stuff like that. Everything I learn about recovery all goes in my journal. Do my morning routine, my activities. So if I came right back and asked you, what's the purpose of this journal?
To
So
write,
Jared, what's the purpose of that journal?
to write, to
Yeah.
to to write your feelings and emotion.
Yep. Right. My
Keep you in
feelings,
state.
emotions, stuff for my recovery. Yep. He's exactly right, you all. So that's the purpose. Fast, what's the purpose of water? You can tell me. Fast, what's the purpose of a bee? It's to pollinate flowers, make honey, all that good stuff, right? Earl Nightingale said that humans are one of the only species. For those that don't know, Earl Nightingale is a personal development expert, or was. I think he died in '89. He's very influential. Him and a guy named Lloyd Conant were very important in basically starting personal development as a business. It's been around for a while, like self-help and stuff, but they put it as a business when they formed Lloyd Conant, based out of Chicago. So Earl Nightingale said that humans are like one of the few species that are actually we're disoriented in our environment. A bee knows its purpose. It's like flies to the fly, whatever. A lion knows its purpose. I'm about to hunt. I'm about to chill. Whatever they do during their day. Humans also have a purpose, but we don't know the purpose. It's something many of us either spend our lives searching for and look for it so we can live in it, or we don't know about it and don't find it out, and then we just, unfortunately pass away without ever finding it. Um, man, so Jared, how important do you feel? First of all, how important do you feel purpose is in life? And I'll tell you my thought on it. And then, do you know your purpose?
Uh, I think purpose is probably, if not the most important thing in life, if not close to it. And I don't know my purpose. Um, I think I know partially my purpose, but I don't think I fully know my purpose.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. Okay. Well, what is it? What do you know
Um,
about
what
partially about your purpose? What do you
what
know?
what I know so far is my kids for sure. It's my
Hmm.
purpose. I know partially my purpose is to change my family's legacy, generational wealth. I know that, and I know my purpose is to use my intelligence to lead people in the right direction. As a intelligent black man, I feel like, it's my job to uplift my community and my race to a better understanding of what what's right and what's wrong, and lead them in the right direction. That's part of it. But I don't know my full purpose. I have I search daily for it. You know what I'm saying? I go through a lot of thoughts and a lot of emotions trying to figure out what exactly am I doing here? Am I here to entertain and leave, or am I here to leave a legacy and help people and be a beacon? Like what is my purpose? Because
You just
I
said it.
think yeah, I'm saying I think a lot of people come and they entertain and they make people smile and stuff.
Yeah.
But did you do something? Did you really change the way that the world is? And I don't think you have to change the world necessarily, but I guess for me, it's about taking the circle with you. So I know if I can influence three people, I know those three people can influence three people, and so on. So that's how you change the world. I don't look at it like help 5 billion people, even though some people do that, with charities and stuff. Like if I can help three people, I'm really helping millions of people. That's how I look at it because it's a ripple effect.
Yeah. It reminds me, Zig Ziglar. He's again, rest in peace to him. Was a motivational speaker. I think he died in like 2012. He tells his story. Little Ben Hopper. You ever heard that story, Jared?
Mm-mm.
Yeah, basically his kid got bullied and stuff like that, and his dad wasn't in his life. I think it was in Tennessee, actually. Ironically enough, that's where I am. Got bullied, and so the kid one day is at church, and he goes to church every Sunday, um, but he sits in the back because he's like shy, quiet, low self esteem because he's been bullied. He doesn't know who his dad is, and even other parents are like, "Don't hang around him. Don't hang around little Ben because he's no, he doesn't have his dad in his life." And back then, to not have your father in your life was people just like you had a disease. Like, get away from me. And true story, preacher comes into town, a new preacher, young, charismatic, you know, really friendly. And so little Ben, he's watching this preacher. He likes him immediately, but he doesn't say anything. He just sits in the back, watches the sermon. And one day, little Ben decides to sit up closer. He doesn't sit at the front, he sits in the middle instead of the back. He doesn't sit at the front, he's in the middle. And so the preacher's preaching, and all of a sudden, the preacher looks at little Ben Hopper. And then the preacher was like, hey, he was like, hey, I know you all are going through such and such, and I'm talking to you. And of course, he wasn't talking to Ben per se, but he was looking at Ben as a speaker, as a preacher does. When they're preaching, they'll look at different people. But Ben felt like he was talking directly to him. He felt like he was saying, you can do this, little Ben Hopper. You can be great, little Ben Hopper. God is with you, little Ben Hopper, talking to him specifically. But anyway, as soon as the sermon was over, because he felt like the preacher was talking to him, he felt embarrassed. So he decided to try to run out right after the service because he was like, I gotta get out of here because I don't want him to. He was talking to me, he's gonna say something to me. So he gets up and tries to get out, but there's a crowd of people blocking him. He turns around to look back at towards the front where the preacher was, and boom, the preacher's like right there in front of him.
True story.
So he looks up. So he looks up. This is a true story. So he looks up, and the preacher looks down at him and says, "What's going on, man? How you doing?" And Ben Hopper's like, oh crap, I don't want to talk to this guy. He's like, what's going on, man? How you doing? So what's your deal? What's your story? Because he had never met him. He was like, what's your story? And Ben was like, uh. And then the preacher says, whose child is this? Like, who's your who? Where are your parents, your mom and dad? And Ben Hopper was like, he was speechless because he didn't want to tell him, I don't know where my dad is, my mom is at work or wherever. And the preacher said, oh, okay, I know whose child you are. You're a child of God. You are a child of God. And that was the day that Ben Hopper, low self-esteem, didn't know his father, bullied for years. That was the day in his mind when he tells that story that he became the governor of Tennessee. Then he was reelected to the governor of Tennessee. So what you say to somebody can spark it can influence millions of people. So exactly, Jared. So what you were saying, yeah, big, big,
That's
big.
that's a
You're
great
exactly
story to
right.
add on to it. I like it.
Yeah. So, and I'm looking them up now, right quick. Yep. Here he is. Ben Hooper, government, October 1870, October 13th, 1870 to April 18, 1957. Yep, he was the governor of Tennessee. So I just looked him up on Wikipedia. I had before, but anyway.
You still gotta pull it up, share screen for a second so the
Oh yeah,
audience
for
can
sure.
see.
Here
Okay.
he goes right here. Ben Hooper. I said Hopper. Ben Hooper.
Hooper. Okay.
Yep. 2 terms as the 31st governor of Tennessee.
All from a speech.
All from, yes,
From
that's the
one
thing.
sentence, two
Low
sentences.
self-esteem, didn't know his father. Look at this. I'll stop sharing in a second, but look at this. Look at the early life. Hooper was born out of wedlock to Sarah Wade in Newport, Tennessee. His father, Lemuel Washington Hooper, was a physician who was engaged to another woman at the time. Ben and his mother moved to Mossy Creek, something in Knoxville, where he was placed in St. John's Orphanage. He was eventually legally adopted by his father and returned to Newport. So that's cool. He eventually was legally adopted by him, but he didn't know him when he was a kid. And that preacher changed his life. Changed his life just by saying something to him, man. Just by saying something. So I love that point, Jared. Um, that kind of makes me think on my purpose. And I think that, first of all, I think you can have multiple purposes. And I'm of the belief that your purpose can change. There's some people who are like, oh no, you're set in life. But I think that your purpose really can change. I think there's a lot of smaller purposes than people might think. It's like, this is your purpose right now. Then maybe 10 years from now, your purpose might be different. You could think of it as seasons, but it's important to live in your purpose during each of those seasons. So for
What's the
me,
what's the difference between, I'm sorry to interrupt. What's the difference between intention and purpose?
intention and purpose.
Yeah, like smaller intent and smaller
I think
purposes and intention.
I think intention is something that anyone can sit down and just set for themselves at any time. I can set the intention right now to pick up this water on my left. You all can't see it, but you know, pick up the water, take a drink. I can set the intention to. We can set the intention to get on this podcast today. But is that our purpose? Is that our purpose? Not necessarily. The purpose of the podcast, of us doing this podcast, just to get some good the conversations that we had over the phone, just to get them out there for other people to engage in and hear about, you know. And that's going to take time. That's fine. That's part of it for other people to engage. But at least we're putting it out there. These are really positive conversations that me and you, we just used to talk on the phone for 2 hours about this stuff. So why not put it out there for other people? Other people might have insights as well on it. They might be like, oh no, I disagree with that.
So a
I think
purpose,
this.
so a purpose
So
is more of an outside force rather than an inside. Is that what you're saying? And intention is more of a I
I
set it.
think
Yeah,
I think intention comes from inside. I think purpose can come from a little inside and outside. I think your purpose is in you already, or your purposes, they're in
yeah.
you. And you have to go inside and pull them out,
Cultivate it. Gotcha.
cultivate it. But I also think there are outside influences that can help unlock your purpose. So that's why I say outside and inside with a purpose.
Yeah.
Intention is just me making this intention. So that's my thoughts on it. Um, but I will say your gift will also tell you, so your gifts will also tell you. Oh my, sorry y'all, I'm gonna blow my nose.
It's all
But
right, man. That's all right. You go take it. Take care of it. I'll take care of this.
okay, I'll be right back.
Yeah. So basically, intention, purpose. You guys, like he was saying, it's something that it's got to be cultivated. You know, it's inside of you, your purpose, but it's also on the outside. And understanding that it's not going to be a one-time thing. You know, it's an everyday thing. Every day, wake up, contribute to your purpose every day. You know, and to piggyback off of what I was saying earlier, set your intention to chase your purpose. Having an intention to chase that purpose. And I think that's where the value is, the gold is in it. To set the intention to chase your purpose and set the intention to enjoy chasing your purpose. You know, I think that's where a lot of comfort can come from too, because your purpose is not meant to make you feel bad mentally, physiology, physiolo- Okay, I'm gonna scrap that word. But you know,
Physiologically,
yeah, it's not bad to. It's not meant to make you feel bad like this. It's just meant to make you feel like, hey, this is something that I want to do. I'm being pulled toward this, not pushed. So enjoy the journey. You know, number one. You know, and that's the thing. Back to you, Just.
that's a good tip. Enjoy the journey. That's tip number one. That's important when looking for your purpose. So your gift, I think your gift tie into your purpose. Um, you just don't know how all the time. So, for example, me, I have the gift of encouragement. I have the gift of, I think one of my main gifts that is like, it's unseen. It's not like what I call a sexy gift that everybody can see. But I can sit down with, I've sat down with some of the most abrasive, like mean people ever. That people are like, I don't like them at all, like seriously. And they end up talking to me. I can listen and make them feel open and welcome in a way that makes them want to share stuff with me and befriend me. Not that I'm seeking it out. I just listen. I'm a very good listener when it comes to just people around me. My wife might argue that, but I am. God gave me the gift of being a good listener. I can draw stuff out of people. People tell me, a lady told me something the other day, one of my coworkers. She said, I've never said that out loud ever in my life to anyone. She told me something. And literally we were just in there talking. And I was like, yeah, blah, blah, said something. And I just listened to her, didn't interrupt because I was curious. Again, that's that curiosity. So that's a gift. Encouragement is a gift. Being an example. I think one of my purposes, just to go ahead and get to the point here, I think one of my main purposes, I think I have two big purposes right now. I don't think it's my children. I don't think, I mean, I think that is a small, very small part of what I do, but I don't think that's my purpose for being here because I feel like if God took me away, I feel like I've laid the best foundation I could up until this point to that they will be successful. And that's a hope, obviously. Um, but of course, I love my children. I want to be around them for sure. And I do want to be around for all their milestones. So, but I think my purpose, man, is to encourage people. I know for a fact my purpose includes being a good listener and supporter, not necessarily out front. I end up out front a lot, but being a listener, like a two-man almost, like just the guy that's beside the guy. I don't mind the attention if it's like for something important, but I don't care to be the number one most famous person. I want to really, I like supporting. I like listening, finding out what the issue is, using my curiosity to find the solution, and then helping do that. That's been a theme throughout my life. Anytime I've sought attention and sought leadership, sought out power rather, not leadership, but power, it backfired on me every time. But if I was made to be a leader, if somebody was like, hey, I need you to step up and be a leader in this situation, it always works out. It always works out. I always start off as support, quiet, background guy, just offering support, and then God promotes me when it's time. So, but that's that. I feel like that's one of my purposes, to be like a support to people, a group of people, be a good listener, to encourage all these support things. You know, feel like that's an important thing. And then a beacon of light. I feel like me personally, even though I'm very self-critical at times, not as much now, but I can be. If I backslide back into how I was when I was a teenager and early 20s, I was very self-critical, and so I don't. I sometimes it still happens, and I want to. I feel like God put me here to be an example. I I always tell people, I tell like my wife and stuff, like I never wanted to be the oldest. It just happened. I never want to be the old. I don't want to be no example to anybody. I never tried to do that. I wanted an older sister, to be honest. Like I tell my wife Brianna all the time. I say, hey, I wish I would have had an older sister to just tell me the game, how to figure this out. But God saw fit for me to be the oldest, for me to go through stuff and me to kind of figure stuff out so that I can be come out on the other side and be some type of example, not just to my family, but to other people. Other people look at me as an example, and I don't say anything to them. That's the thing. I never say anything to them. They just look at me as an example for some reason. I don't know if it's because of my height. I don't know if it's because people look at taller people as natural leaders sometimes. Could be the dumbest kid in town. Literally, I could be the dumbest. They don't know. I'm not. I'm very smart, but yeah, man, it's I think being an example, being a beacon of light, that it ties into what you said, Jared, building a legacy for the family, stuff like that. I truly think that I'm meant, me and you are meant. This is the generation where stuff changes. I might die before, I might die today, I don't know. Hopefully not, but it could happen. I could die today, right? But there's still you, there's still Jeremy. There are people who are literally changing the trajectory of families. You know, as far as I know, our mom never went to therapy. Our dad never went to therapy. Not that I'm aware of. They may have, but I'm not aware of. I went to therapy multiple times. I've changed trajectory of my family's legacy by going to therapy and finding out where some of my thinking flaws are. Jared has changed the trajectory of his family tree. This man has his own business, his own trucking business. He's changing the trajectory of lives. Now his money be getting ate up by like, I don't know, child, whatever. I don't know what look, the money be getting ate up, but he have money. Okay. He is, or his family borrowing like me. Get some money. But no, seriously, Wall. Purpose is extreme, like it's big, man. And if you can live in your purpose or live in your season, your purpose for now, you'll find it'll give you a big boost of energy. So I want to kind of leave us with this. Jared already gave something to remember. Enjoy the journey, enjoy the process, because there's a thing called apoptosis, and it's cell death, basically. And they found that it occurs when people stop working and living in their purpose or some purpose. People who retire, they usually don't live too much longer past retirement. Maybe like 10, 20 years on the long end, but people who retire like 65, 70, they don't necessarily live 10, 20 more years all the time. If they do, it's an exception, because They don't have anything else to do. They don't have anything else to do. What am I doing? I'm sitting here watching TV, going on vacation. Maybe they're babysitting their grandkids or something. That's the purpose. So that makes sense. They might live another 30 years because they have some type of purpose. So I say all that to say, keep that purpose in the forefront of your mind. Keep working towards it. I no longer seek retirement, you all, from the well, I do one day seek to gain my financial freedom and my family's financial freedom, but I never seek to stop working. Like I'm just gonna die working. Seriously, I'm gonna want to do something, business, whatever it might be. I'm still gonna be working. I'm still gonna be taking meetings. Still gonna be going. Even if I'm going to board meetings and stuff at my older age, being on boards, I'm still gonna do it. So enjoy the process, man, because when it's over, you might get the fruits of your labor, but then it's over as well. Okay, so just keep that in mind. Another thing is explore what your gifts are. What are you good at? And here's a definition for your gift. What's something that you are good at that is hard for most people? What's something you're good at that's hard for most people? I promise you, most people aren't able to draw out deep, dark secrets from people. I can. It's not hard. I don't do anything. It's a gift. you know? Find out your gift or your gifts. You probably have multiple. Find out your gift. That's gonna be a big step. And then the third thing is experiment. Experiment. Try different things. See if you like it. Try martial arts. If you don't like it, quit. You know? And I would say don't just quit right off the bat. I'd say give it some time, obviously, like maybe let's say 90 days to see if you start to like it. But if not, try something else. Read some books, get some exploration in. Even if you can't travel somewhere, you can travel mentally using books. Read about what happened in the past. Read about people that lived and what they've accomplished. Find out these pieces of information, and you never know what it could spark in your own mind. All right, Jared, anything to add to finding your purpose or just things to think about when it comes to purpose?
You hit the nail on the head.
Cool. All right, man. Announcements. Magnolia Lawn Solutions. What's going on with it?
Same thing, just growing, taking a day at a time, and no announcements this week. You can find us at www.magnolialawnms.com. You can contact us at 601-249-9140. 601-249-9140.
Good. And they only service Central Mississippi.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. So for me, you all had the pleasure of speaking with speaking at an event called The Download, and got a testimonial for what I did. So I want to actually play that testimonial. It's not too long. Let's see. So this is a testimonial from Megan Torrance of Torrance Learning. It's a 6-minute video. It's a different format, but because we did it in like an interview format. So she's on there, I'm on there as well. And just talking about what I did, what my services were, and she's thanking me for my participation. So I'm going to share my screen and we'll just go through a little bit of it because again, it's 6 minutes. But it is a testimonial from Megan Torrance, the CEO of Torrance Learning. All
right, Jay Brian, I want to thank you for speaking at our Download conference. Our Download has been around since 2010. We've done way more than a dozen of these things, and it's an opportunity to learn and share with fellow professionals, and it's a special community of connection, and we love broadening that community. And I loved having.
Yeah, y'all check out the download. It's an amazing event. By the way, if you're a learning and development professional, check it out. It's free. It's on torrancelearning.com.
You join us for the May 2022 download. Can you do me a favor? In a nutshell, what did you share with us?
So when I spoke at the download, amazing event, by the way, I talked about learner engagement in a virtual setting with everything going to everything else. Some companies were doing virtual already, but when pandemic hit, everyone pretty much had to, at least for a certain time, switch over to virtual. So get using the same tools, learner engagement tools in person, all of them don't necessarily translate to the virtual setting. Or if they do, some of them need tweaking. So that's what I spoke about, learner engagement in a virtual setting.
Fantastic. Okay, so in learning and development, a lot of us understand what engagement is.
Yeah, so I'll stop there, you all, just because I go a little more in depth, and it in particular talks to learning and development professionals. So that was a testimonial from Megan Torrance. Again, great event. You know, she mentioned it. Check it out. Check it out. Yeah, it's cool you saw the testimonial of me, but I also want, if you're a learning and development professional and you're watching this, you're like a corporate trainer, you're an adult learning teacher, you work with a GED program, whatever. This event is amazing, the download. So check it out. We're all in there. So if you would like me to come work with your team talking about learner engagement in a virtual setting, or just learner engagement in general, I know that you have learners that they're just sitting there in class. You can't tell if they're paying attention. You don't know if they're getting the information. And then you find out later through the grapevine that they didn't enjoy the class. They didn't learn anything, even though you taught for hours. You gave them the information. Man, let me help you overcome that hurdle. Let me help you make it to where that learner not only gets something, even if they don't look like they're getting something, they're getting something. And they can later go out and demonstrate what you taught them so that your company can see the ROI for having you on board as a teacher, as a trainer. And you know, you can end up making more money. You can end up having more classes, doing more of what you want to do. So if you want to reach me, you can reach me or my assistant, Brian, at info@jbrianspeaks.com. Again, that's info@jbrianspeaks.com. You can also check out my website, www.jbrianspeaks.com. Again, that's www.jbrianspeaks.com. And with that, you all, again, I'm Jay Brian,
Oh, Jared.
and this has been the Attention Span Podcast. Y'all have a great one. Peace.